If we were at a dinner party, I said to you, what do you do for work? How would
Mm.
you describe that?
I'm a painter, actually. I wouldn't say I'm an artist. I wonder why that is, but I would say I'm a painter. I paint people and landscapes. I would say I'm a naturalistic painter, and then I would hint at the classicism of my work. I would say it's fairly traditional, and I tend to work in a representational way, and I aim to convey that's a sort of realistic but also interpretive version of my subjects. I think also just they stress how interesting it is, how broad it is, how interactive it is. So it's actually one small part psychology, one small part anthropology, quite a lot of painting, a lot of technique. Sorry, were you hoping for one sentence?
No, I think it's a common struggle for artists to say, what do I say? Which leads me to another question. It's broad on purpose and just see where we go with it. But what is a portrait?
No, I think it's a good question. My answer will be different from the previous person you put it to, I should think. But in my view, a portrait is a likeness, but it's not only a likeness. I don't want to be cynical, but if it was just a likeness, then we wouldn't be in a job because there are machines to do that. So you are really you're hunting for something, and it's a sort of within your likeness. You're using your visual language, which will be whatever it is. In my case, I have a fairly classical style, and I quite like my painterly strokes. For a draftsman, it's totally different, and they're looking for different things. But let's assume that it's just my world. I want to use my visual language to get that likeness onto the canvas, and then I hope that what goes with it is a little sort of sense of the person and personality, and that language I'm using will help to convey a sort of pulse, as a good word for it, or a sort of thrum of energy. They give off a little bit of their own life force. So without that, I don't think I would be as interested in it as I am. So it's technical, and there's a lot of dry stuff about colours and canvas types. It's really important, but it's more than that. You're looking for try and get a little bit of that person onto the canvas with your technical representation of them. I think for me.
Is that the equation that it is a painting about somebody else made by you? Is that
Yes, yeah. I'm never sure how much people say you're always painting self-portraits when you're painting portraits. I'm not sure that's true, but then maybe I'm not best placed to comment. For me, I feel like I'm really interested in that person, and I'm really curious about it. So in my sittings, for instance, I really talk to them. I get them talking. I don't want them to sit still. I want them to communicate to me. Not ideal for holding a pose perfectly well, but nonetheless really vital for finding out who they are. So I'm quite interested in them. It really matters to me, for example, that the family feel they recognize this person. That's in the commission environment. When I'm painting my own work, I'm following my own ideas. It's a bit different, but in the commission world, yeah, I'm really hunting down a person. So yeah, there's probably some of me in it. I think inevitably, I don't know where you unpick that and how you unpick that, but I'm definitely trying to get a little bit of that person over. But yeah, it's in my language, so I can't extricate myself from it.
I would like to get to potentially what is your work, your personal work in a little bit, but if we could stay here for a moment, just technically, one of the things that can be really useful about these conversations is for aspiring artists to understand the process as they
Mm.
model after you or other artists. In the process of painting, do I have two questions? One, is there photography involved at all that will help later?
Oh yeah, no, I use photo references. I've never been coy about that. Love and need my life sittings. I can't really proceed without them, but I use plenty of photo references all of the time. So that's that one.
Okay. And then the other question is, as far as the collaborative process with the sitter or the commissioner, if they're not the same person, but either way, you described earlier that you are a painter typically working with non-painters, your clients.
Yeah.
How does that process go? I assume each time it might be somewhat different.
It's totally different. As you will know, and all of your students will know, that people do fall into camps where they either like commissions or they don't, and some people like them somewhat and tolerate them. So I like them. I'm not going to pretend that every single day of the year I like them. That's why I do my own work. But you are going to encounter a person who could have virtually nothing in terms of expectations, but they know they want a painting. They could want a painting of someone else or themselves. I've had people commissioning because they've had a near death experience and it's really clarified things and they want painting for that reason. Lots of paintings of family members, rites of passage, retirements, birthdays, anniversaries, all that sort of thing. And so you're going to meet people all across the spectrum of life. And you have got to walk a mile in their shoes. They have no idea what's coming. This is not like going to the dentist. This is a totally odd thing. So, first thing to know for the non portrait commission students out there who might want to do some, really be very kind in the beginning because you're very alien territory for them and they will feel nervous about it. It's just inevitable. That's humans. So, try to be quite settling, lay out a plan. This is what's going to happen. We're going to have some sittings. You're going to just chill and talk to me, and I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to make this mess over here on this canvas. Don't worry about that. And then I'm going to involve you, and I want your feedback. And you might have preceded that with conversations about clothes and so on. But I personally, everyone's different, but I like to take my sitters right along with me. So they see the mess that goes down in the beginning, and they come right along for the whole ride. Other artists you've spoken to don't do it like that at all. But I'm not saying I have the answer. But for me, it's really important that they are involved. And so I tend to be very collaborative with them from the beginning and take them right the way through all of the various processes. No matter how inside baseball that actually happens to be in any given moment, I will involve them with it. So that's worked for me. I have found that tends to relax people. They then feel that they're in the journey with you. They may not know anything about painting, but they do know about the person who's sitting, or they are the world expert on the person who's sitting. And so that is information you can use. No one will be more qualified than them with that. You're getting a lot from them. It's a rich conversation. And you could speak to 100 artists, they could all give you a different, but that's the sort of attitude or approach I would take into my sittings with my clients. Yeah.
This might be a nice bridge to some of the technical conversation, but I think I read on your website that you don't do preliminary sketching, but that the way that you had put it on your website, which I really loved, was that the sketchbook is left underneath the painting, right? Because you're sketching as you're coming out into the completed painting.
Yeah.
To collaborate, to bring that back to your sitter, you're showing them then the first rough go, the second pass, the third pass. They're seeing every sitting. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. They are entirely aware of the iterations that become the final painting. Obviously, they are present at the sittings, so they are seeing that. They usually love that bit, actually, most people, because they know it's not the finished painting, so it's not a bit scary. You're worried you're going to get left with this very rough outline. Just speaking to allaying those concerns that they may have, I actually have a page on my website which is quite good in that regard, which shows the very rough to the finished. Yeah, so you might want to do that so that people really do believe you, that your process is laid out for them. They can be completely happy. That's what's going to happen. And then maybe what I think of as the adolescent phase of your painting, the kind of tedious bit where there's a lot of not very much happening, but you're building it. I don't show them all of that because I might get bored, but quite soon, maybe like 50% of the way through, you send them updates and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. Just continuously updating them. And they may well feed back some really interesting little things in that time that you're pleased you know as a result of them telling you. So that, I view it as a very symbiotic feedback loop where they are helping me and I also am helping them come along on the journey so that they obviously they feel involved. But yes, technically, of course, that means that a lot of classical painters have a layered approach anyway, but it means that the layering approach is also an aid for you in your professional life if you are the kind of painter who is comfortable to do that. And I am, and I have friends who really aren't. So it really is horses for courses. But in my case, I'm quite content for them to see the mayhem and most of the beginning bits. Looking around here, I have a kid on over there who wasn't sitting very still, so I think he's still got his horns that I painted on just to make sure he sat still. And I will remove those. But his dad saw that and thought it was funny. And there's quite a lot of richness available for the client and for you. It's just, for me personally, as a painter, my working things out at the life scale on the canvas is the way I do my sketching. For me, it works. For them, it works. Everyone's got to find their own little ways. And that's how it's worked out for me. So, yeah.
I'm curious. I love that it's your process, and I've sat with other portrait painters and they have different processes. And I think whatever gets your client at ease and working with you is best practice.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you agree with Sargent's assessment of a portrait is that it's a painting that has something wrong with the mouth?
Yeah. A
Yeah.
likeness with something wrong with the mouth. It is the feature that is the most mobile. I guess it's bound to present the most challenges. Yeah, maybe a majority of feedback is something about the mouth. But actually, I'm just casting my mind back now, and I've had all sorts. But yeah, eyes as well. Obviously, the shape of eyes. I think it's really those features that obviously are core features where people just associate them with personality. And you're going to hear about those a lot. But yeah, you hear about the mouth a lot. Yeah. And it's if you're looking for painting expression, it's just hard. I say you've got your biggest challenge there, probably.
As I said before, I think that based on all the artists I speak to, in my mind, their success is inevitable because of the amount of work that they put in. And I'm just curious about your work
Yeah.
ethic and the amount of time.
No, I do agree with that because I would notice it in other people, and I'm definitely a workaholic in that sense. I work every day. I mostly work over the weekends, if not in full, in part. The other things I'm juggling, they obviously come in. I have a family, and that's important. But it really is just a question of filling all of the time that could reasonably be filled with work, and that's really helps if you love your job. And I do. I'm endlessly fascinated with it. So it's obsessive interest, and that makes it much easier to work a lot. I don't have many really tedious workman-like days, so I think coming over like a martyr because I work so hard would be wrong. I really love what I do, so it's a privilege. And as I think I mentioned, I don't work it through the night. I sleep well. So it's all being controlled, but I do work, yeah, a lot. And I think I would stress that natural talent is great. Try and have some, but it's the hours of effort and the journey that will get you there. And I've never known that to be incorrect. So that would
Right.
be my 2 cents.
Do you find it hard when you leave the studio to leave the work mentally behind or emotionally?
Mostly, I'm all right, actually. But we all know the feeling when something is really weighing on you, or you think you've got to get over that particular problem right now. I'm very familiar with that, but it's not the majority event every day. I tend to feel that my concentration is beginning to wander in the evening, and actually, I then just walk away from it because I know the thing I'm about to do is not going to help anyone. But that is a really hard lesson to learn when to stop. And we all get it wrong and ruin something at 3 in the morning. So it depends. I have friends who only work at night, so I'm not prescribing here, but if you have noticed and you're working that you are no longer making sense even to yourself and you're getting angry or something, you've just got to leave. Take yourself off, do something different.
I found
Get
that
it.
to be the hardest. That took to me about 20 years to just
Yeah.
let it go is better than wrestling with it.
Yes. And also, of course, reminding yourself that with your fresh eye, you're about 10 times as qualified to solve whatever the problem is anyway.
Yeah, almost immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So it will jump out at you and it will be embarrassingly straightforward, but with your absolutely wrecked mind, which you've just run into the ground, you're no good for anything. Just go and do something else.
Do you like having your work exhibited? And what is the conflict as a portrait artist where much of your work goes into private collections?
Yeah, I do like having it exhibited because it feels like that's what is meant to happen. I've never been embarrassed about it being in public, assuming that I'm happy with it. Going into private, I don't mind as long as it's going. If somebody hangs it in the dark or something, that's a bit heartbreaking. But mostly people, they've invested quite a lot of time and money and they're going to put it up there and it's going to live its life as it was meant to. So I actually like it when they leave the studio. I never mournfully look at the van as it's driving off, thinking, oh dear. It's not at all like that. I like them when they're gone because that's what they're supposed to do. So, yeah, I think ideally they would be in well lit, good spaces in front of people who appreciate them. Whether they be many or few isn't really, it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, no, I do like them to get out if possible. That's not to say there aren't hundreds in here, but we all accumulate far too much.
And I will say something that maybe doesn't make it into our interview much, but it's not something I get to say often to portrait
Mm.
artists, but I really love your landscapes. Um,
Oh, thanks. I love doing them because they're so different. They're good for the soul. Again, just variety being the spice of life and everything. It's really important to me. So actually, next week in Italy, that's what we're doing.
oh,
Um,
wonderful.
I'm back to water. Slight obsession of mine.
I noticed in looking at your landscapes that many of them are waterscapes with some
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
on them. Yeah.
yeah. It continues.
Do you know why
Yeah.
that is? Is it the most painterly thing that you could try to accomplish?
Oh, I think you could look at water for a lifetime and it would be as rewarding as looking at the variety of the human species. It's one of those things that's just massive. It's reflective, it's deep, it's hard, which is immediately appealing. You want to tackle it. It's very narratively pleasing. That I think we're also just drawn to it as a species. It's also a bit frightening. I don't know. I think it's a lot of it's reflections. Actually, I'm looking at one now where I've just got a slick beach. I don't know if you, the Northumbrian coast here is full of these immense sandy plains. So actually, it's reflection as much as anything else. The sense of looking through a world to another world and it being slightly off. It's just very interesting.